The desert stretched endless and silent under a bruised twilight sky, the air trembling with static as if nature itself held its breath. From their isolated research base, the team prepared for the storm's arrival, a once-in-a-century cell known for birthing bolts that danced sideways through the clouds. Cameras whirred to life, lenses aimed toward the brewing darkness. For years, humanity had believed lightning was nothing more than raw electricity, the chaotic discharge of clouds in turmoil. But as the first flash erupted across the horizon, the high-speed camera captured something no textbook had prepared them for. A shape, too symmetrical to be natural. Suspended within the bolt's blinding light, it moved, not with the randomness of energy, but with purpose. And when Arya replayed the frame, her voice trembled. "That's not plasma." Something ancient, intelligent, and luminous was staring back. What they found inside the storm defied everything they knew about reality. The storm deepened, crawling closer with the sound of 1,000 drums rolling across the sand. Inside the station, cables vibrated with static, their screens alive with data that refused to make sense. Arya replayed the footage frame by frame, her pulse matching the flicker of the captured bolt. Each time the shape moved slightly. Not because of distortion, but because it was reacting to observation, shifting like it knew it was being watched. Elias muttered theories about interference, reflection, and digital anomalies, yet even his steady voice trembled. Outside, the wind began to scream, a low electric moan carrying through the vents. Noah lifted his head. The static wasn't just noise anymore. It sounded almost rhythmic, like something inside the lightning was whispering back. By midnight, the desert had vanished beneath sheets of rain, and the storm raged like a living thing. The base shuddered as wind tore across the valley, snapping cables and scattering dust. Noah scrambled to recalibrate the external lenses, his voice rising above the storm's roar. Arya pressed her hand to the monitor glass, whispering, "It's changing again." The image inside the lightning now shimmered like a heartbeat, expanding and contracting. It seemed to multiply, one form becoming 2, then 4, dancing along the bolt's length before dissolving into chaos. Elias stared in silence, jaw clenched. He'd seen storms all his life, but never one that looked back. Then, the lights flickered again, and for the briefest instant, the monitor went black, only to flash with a single word in static white. "Listen." The team froze. For seconds that stretched into eternity, only the storm spoke. Then, faintly, a pulse of static echoed through their headsets, a rhythm, precise and repeating. Arya recorded it, her fingers trembling. The waveform displayed evenly spaced peaks, almost musical in symmetry. Elias frowned, muttering, "That's not random noise." Outside, lightning struck again, but instead of thunder, a deep, resonant hum filled the air, as if the sky itself vibrated with thought. Noah cross-referenced the signal with old research logs, and something uncanny emerged. The same pattern had been detected 12 years earlier, the night Arya's mentor disappeared. The pulse grew louder, syncing perfectly with the storm's flashes, beating like a second heart within the clouds. The air thickened until breathing felt like inhaling the storm itself. Outside, lightning stitched across the sky, weaving a living tapestry of light and sound. Arya stepped toward the open door, rain soaking her hair as she raised her recorder toward the storm. "If it's a message," she whispered, "then someone or something is speaking through the sky." A flash lit the world white. The hum grew into a frequency that resonated through their bones, filling the air with invisible pressure. Suddenly, the monitor flickered again, revealing a faint outline of a human silhouette standing inside the bolt, upright, luminous, and still. Elias shouted for her to come inside, but Arya didn't move. Her eyes widened as another lightning bolt struck, and the silhouette turned its head toward her. Morning came gray and heavy, but the storm refused to leave. The research station looked like a shipwreck marooned in a sea of clouds. Inside, the team worked without sleep, their eyes hollow from the night's revelations. Every replay of the lightning footage unveiled something new. The shapes weren't random distortions. They changed, rearranging like language written in light. Noah's computer flagged fractal repetition, patterns repeating across frames as if encoding information. Arya leaned closer, whispering, "It's organized." Elias ran simulations, trying to fit the forms into known electromagnetic structures, but nothing aligned. The data wasn't behaving like electricity. It behaved like consciousness. And when Arya overlaid the shapes in sequence, they formed a spiral identical to one carved into a cave wall near the research site, an ancient mark no storm should know. Hours passed, and the storm above began to echo their heartbeat. The signals pulsed through the instruments like living veins. Arya's voice cracked as she explained her discovery. The patterns followed the Fibonacci sequence, nature's code of order. "It's not random," she said. "It's communicating through symmetry." Elias stared, disbelief battling fascination. "You're saying the lightning is thinking?" The words sounded absurd even to him. Yet the evidence glowed from every monitor. Noah synchronized the lightning data with the storm's electrical fields, and a resonance appeared. One that matched the brainwave frequency of human consciousness. They watched in stunned silence as lightning struck again, the monitors flickering in rhythmic unison as if the storm itself had heard them. Somewhere beyond the static, a faint whisper pulsed through the speakers. "Remember?" By afternoon, the wind had calmed, but inside, tension burned hotter than the desert sun. Noah enhanced the audio file from the storm's pulse, isolating hidden frequencies. What emerged was chilling. Beneath the thunder, a low tone repeated in 3-second intervals. Elias overlaid it with the electromagnetic signal and froze. The rhythm wasn't just sound. It was structured communication. Arya whispered that it might be using light and sound together, a dual transmission. As they decoded fragments, faint harmonic patterns began to resemble a human voice, distorted but pleading. The message, buried beneath chaos, carried one word, repeated endlessly: below. The storm above roared again, as if in response, shaking the roof. Arya stared upward and murmured, "Then whatever it is, it's calling from underneath." Curiosity consumed fear. Arya proposed expanding the sensor grid underground, arguing that if the signal originated below the storm, their instruments could triangulate it. The team set out into the mud-slicked desert, lightning still stalking the horizon. They buried electrodes, drove metal rods deep into the soil, and connected new fiber lines to their portable receivers. Every reading pulsed with erratic energy, until one spike hit. A signal strong enough to overload the monitor erupted, forming a coherent image of light below the surface. The ground itself shimmered faintly, like glass hiding something vast beneath. Elias stepped back, eyes wide. "It's not just electricity," he whispered. "It's a network." Arya gazed at the trembling earth. The storm above answered with a single lightning bolt striking exactly where they stood. Inside the station, silence followed the impact. The equipment still hummed, yet none of them could speak. On the screens, the underground readings now mapped a perfect network of lines branching across miles, veins of plasma glowing beneath the earth, converging into a massive central core directly beneath their base. Noah's algorithms translated the energy frequencies into visible color spectrums, revealing pulsing waves identical to neural activity in a human brain. Arya stared in disbelief. "It's alive," she whispered. Elias shook his head, yet his voice faltered. "Or it's remembering." The lightning outside flickered in answer, synchronized perfectly with the glowing network below. The storm and the earth were connected. One mind spread across sky and stone. And as the final thunderclap rolled over the valley, Their monitors blinked to life once more with a new message written in electric white. Awaken! Night fell again, heavy and electric. The storm had not moved for 3 days, circling the valley like a predator guarding its secret. Inside the station, Iria fine-tuned the receivers, her hands trembling with exhaustion. The new data feed streamed live, rhythmic pulses synchronized with every lightning strike. The waveform looked disturbingly alive, its pattern shifting in complex harmonics, as though responding to their monitoring. Elias muttered, "It's like it's listening to us." Noah ran a parallel analysis and froze. The pulses weren't random intervals. They matched human alpha brainwave frequencies. Each thunderclap echoed a thought. Aria leaned close to the microphone and whispered, "If you can hear us, respond." For a moment, silence. Then through the static came a pulse so sharp it rattled the speakers, and a faint whisper threaded within the noise. "We are the memory of the storm." The voice in the static lingered, vibrating through the air like the aftertaste of thunder. Aria replayed the recording in disbelief. Each pulse carried hidden microfrequencies, overlapping layers of encoded tones, patterns that formed audible syllables when slowed down. Noah isolated one phrase. "We remember light." The message repeated with each lightning strike, growing louder. Elias's face drained of color. "They're aware," he said quietly. Outside, the storm glowed brighter, its bolts turning a strange bluish white, illuminating the desert like daylight. The monitors pulsed to the rhythm of the voice until one screen blacked out entirely, replaced by a single spectral figure made of light, indistinct, shifting, almost human. Aria's breath caught. For the first time, she realized the storm wasn't simply reacting. It was reaching back. By dawn, the air hummed like a living wire. Every piece of equipment buzzed with resonance, as though tuned to an invisible frequency. Aria traced the signal backward through the storm clouds, discovering it wasn't originating from above, but from a precise altitude inside the Anvil Formation. A hollow core where lightning converged and looped endlessly. Elias prepared a drone to fly into the storm's heart. "We need to see what's inside," he said. Noah hesitated, glancing at Aria. "If the lightning is conscious, are we invading it?" But curiosity won. The drone ascended through rain and static, its camera shaking violently before stabilizing, revealing a sphere of glowing plasma suspended within the cloud, pulsing like a living heart. The readings spiked beyond measurable range. Aria whispered, "It's alive." Then the feed cut, replaced by a new pulse, a sound like breathing. The room filled with light as every monitor burst to life. The waveform displayed an exact replica of the human heartbeat, steady, deliberate. Aria's voice cracked as she whispered, "It's mimicking us." Elias began matching the storm's rhythm with his own pulse through the monitor's biofeedback loop. To their astonishment, the lightning responded in real time, syncing perfectly with his heartbeat. Noah's sensors confirmed it. The storm was mirroring their biological signals. It wasn't just aware, it was learning. The hum deepened into a harmonic tone that filled the room, vibrating in their chests. For one surreal moment, all three felt it. Not fear, but connection. The storm's pulse matched their breath, their heart, their thought. Then, as quickly as it began, the sound fractured into silence. On every screen, a single word appeared again. Return. Aria couldn't sleep. The word return looped endlessly in her mind. She opened the archived data from her mentor's final expedition 12 years ago, the one lost to lightning. Among the corrupted files was a video, only seconds long. It showed the same storm system, the same light formations, and a voice whispering the same phrase they'd just heard. "We remember light." Her mentor's final transmission ended mid-sentence, overtaken by static that resolved into a pattern identical to their current waveform. Aria's hands trembled. "He found it first," she murmured. Noah stared at the screens. realization dawning. The storm wasn't new. It was returning. Elias looked toward the window where lightning crawled silently across the sky like veins of thought. The storm wasn't warning them. It was calling them back to something humanity had once known and forgotten. The desert was no longer silent. Every grain of sand vibrated with unseen energy as the storm above churned like a living engine. Arya stood at the threshold of the base, gazing into a sky that pulsed with impossible color. Violet veins arcing through emerald clouds, bolts twisting as if aware of her gaze. "We have to go in," she said quietly. Elias's expression hardened. "We're scientists, not explorers of the impossible." But deep down, he knew the line between both had vanished. Noah loaded the drone's secondary module into the rover, its sensors tuned to the lightning's unique resonance. The storm's heart, where the plasma sphere lived, hovered less than 2 miles away. As they began their approach, static electricity crawled over the metal hull, painting trails of light. For the first time in human history, they were driving directly into the consciousness of a storm. The rover climbed the ridge, shaking under the storm's electric breath. The rain wasn't water anymore. It shimmered with luminescent particles, leaving glowing trails on glass. Inside, Arya watched the monitors as the signal grew stronger, the pulses forming what looked like heartbeat intervals. "It's guiding us," Noah said softly. Outside, lightning struck in rhythmic patterns, each bolt carving symbols into the sand that glowed briefly before fading. Elias adjusted the sensors. "It's building a map," he murmured. The storm's heart loomed ahead, a swirling funnel glowing from within, plasma churning like a star in birth. As they approached, every compass needle began spinning. The storm's voice returned through the speakers, no longer whispers, but words layered in static. "Do not fear. We remember you." Arya's hand tightened on the console. "It's communicating directly now," she breathed, unable to look away from the spiraling abyss of light awaiting them. As they crossed into the storm's boundary, gravity itself seemed to bend. Bolts of light curved in slow arcs, frozen in mid-air for impossible seconds before cascading downward. Static filled their ears. Their hair floated as if underwater. Noah's sensors screened warnings of magnetic overload, but no one moved to turn back. Inside the eye, lightning wasn't random. It spiraled in lattices, weaving around a vast orb of luminous plasma suspended in silence. Within it, shadows shifted, figures human-shaped, gliding like memories trapped in light. Arya's breath hitched. "It's them," she whispered. "All the ones who vanished." Elias could only stare as the figures turned toward their cameras, eyes made of radiant electricity. The plasma heart pulsed once, and the rover's lights died. In that instant of darkness, a single word formed in Arya's mind, clear as thought itself: "Welcome." The rover's systems rebooted one by one, screens flooding with cascading symbols neither human nor machine. The lightning formed patterns around the orb, each bolt connecting to the next like neural synapses firing in slow motion. Arya's instruments detected frequencies overlapping the range of human speech and thought, signals shaped like questions. Elias spoke softly, almost reverently. "They're asking who we are." Arya placed her hand on the console and whispered, "We're what you were." The storm trembled in response, a pulse expanding outward like breath. Noah's voice cracked. "It's recognizing you." Suddenly, the pressure outside dropped. Air itself became weightless. A ring of plasma formed around the rover, glowing brighter until the world vanished into light. Within that brightness, the storm whispered again, "Then you remember." Silence. Then light everywhere. The rover no longer existed. The team stood within a boundless field of luminous mist suspended between sky and earth. Shapes drifted around them, not solid, not human. Pure energy forming translucent outlines of those who came before. Arya felt their presence like warmth on skin, not frightening, but familiar. One of the luminous forms approached, its voice resonating inside their thoughts. "We are the echoes of memory. We were once you." She reached out, and when their hands met, an entire vision unfolded. Earth's atmosphere millions of years ago, lightning striking oceans to spark life, each bolt carrying fragments of awareness. The storm wasn't an anomaly. It was the planet's original mind, remembering itself. As the vision faded, a final pulse echoed. "The storm is awake again. Do not forget us this time." And then the light shattered, leaving them standing once more in the rain, the sky eerily still. The morning after the storm's collapse was impossibly still. The desert stretched pale and steaming as if scrubbed clean by fire. The rover, half buried in dust, hissed faintly where the circuit still sparked. Inside, the team sat in silence, staring at screens now filled with cascading data. Waveforms, fractal symbols, spectral images. Aria's fingers moved without thinking, decoding the storm's final pulse. Every fragment connected to another, forming sequences, patterns strikingly similar to genetic codes. Elias leaned over her shoulder, whispering, "It's biological." Noah's analysis confirmed it. The electromagnetic pulses followed the exact logic of DNA replication. "It's life," he said, "but written in light." Arya stared out at the horizon where the storm had been, realization flooding through her. Lightning wasn't random energy. It was the universe's oldest language, carrying the blueprints of creation itself. As the day burned hotter, the team transferred the data to the lab's mainframe. Every algorithm failed to classify what died recorded. The energy signatures behaved like living organisms, reacting to observation, changing structure when analyzed. Noah projected the patterns onto the wall, a dazzling storm of golden lines folding into spirals, duplicating endlessly. "It's self-replicating," he said. Elias's voice trembled. "Then lightning is alive." Arya smiled faintly, eyes reflecting the swirling lights. "No. It's remembering how to be alive." When they slowed the playback, each electrical burst revealed atomic models assembling, disassembling, and reassembling into complex organic formations. Molecules of water, carbon, nitrogen, all forming in rhythm. The first spark of life replaying itself over and over, encoded in every flash across the sky. The storm wasn't chaos. It was memory, nature's eternal rehearsal of creation. Later that night, Arya sat alone, listening to the faint hum of the monitors. She slowed the lightning data to its lowest frequency and discovered another layer, a soft, harmonic tone, resonating like a lullaby. The waveform formed not just patterns but words, translated through frequency modulation. It spoke of origin and return, of light becoming life, and life seeking light again. Elias joined her quietly. "It's talking about evolution," he said. Arya nodded, her voice a whisper. "Maybe everything alive is lightning slowed down, energy trying to remember itself." Outside, a weak glow flickered on the horizon. The storm was reforming, small and silent, as if reborn. Noah stepped in, holding a freshly decrypted sequence. "It's transmitting again," he said. "Only this time, it's calling our names." The signal grew stronger with each passing hour. Its tone became melodic, weaving through the lab like an invisible current. Instruments began vibrating in resonance. Even their bodies tingled as static danced across their skin. Arya connected the system's audio feed to the field sensors outside. The moment she did, the air shimmered. Bolts erupted from a cloudless sky, striking in perfect sequence to the waveform's rhythm. Every flash illuminated the desert in white fire, painting luminous shapes across the sand, spirals, strands, and eyes of light. Noah's screen displayed a translation sequence forming coherent symbols. "It's writing." Elias leaned closer. It's forming an equation. The lightning flared one final time, revealing the full pattern, a mathematical model of DNA. But within it, hidden in the geometry, pulsed a phrase rendered in frequency modulation. "We are what remains of the first storm." Dawn came, calm and unearthly. The lightning had vanished, but the message remained, encoded across their instruments. Arya played the last recorded pulse. Slow, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. "It's fading," she said softly. Elias placed a hand on her shoulder, or resting. Noah analyzed the residual energy and froze. The waveform's decay curve matched the electrical signature of a living brain entering sleep. The storm had gone dormant, its consciousness retreating into the atmosphere. "Maybe it wakes every few centuries," Arya murmured, "just to remind the world it's still here." The wind outside carried the faintest electric buzz, a whisper of thunder far away. She smiled, recording her final note. "We thought lightning was just electricity. We were wrong. It's memory, energy, and life, all remembering what it means to be alive." And somewhere, deep in the clouds, something stirred. The atmosphere trembled long before the thunder returned. Instruments across the lab came alive without warning. Screens lighting up, alarms flickering, sensors spiking to impossible values. Outside, the sky had turned a deep indigo, clouds swirling as if drawn by invisible gravity. Arya stood at the window, transfixed. "It's waking up again," she whispered. The air crackled with warmth instead of cold. Lightning bolts arced silently from cloud to cloud, dancing like luminous veins knitting together. Noah's monitors displayed new frequencies, sharper and faster, pulsing in rhythmic waves that resonated deep in the chest. "It's global," he said. Elias ran calculations, the numbers scrolling faster than his eyes could follow. "The storm's not local anymore. It's connecting across the atmosphere." Arya's gaze didn't leave the horizon. "Then this isn't weather," she said quietly. "It's evolution." The storm grew in scale and intelligence. Lightning began forming predictable routes, arcing along coastlines and mountain ranges, connecting cities like neurons firing across a colossal brain. Arya traced the paths on the global map, each strike forming part of an expanding network. "It's building structure," she murmured. Elias watched the data streams, awed and fearful. "It's learning faster than we can understand." Noah interfaced the sensors directly to the storm's pulse, synchronizing their internal systems with its frequency. The hum deepened until their bones vibrated. "We're inside it now," Noah said quietly. "It's thinking through us." Outside, the lightning turned gold, descending in long, graceful arcs that touched the earth gently, as though awakening something ancient beneath the soil. The desert glowed faintly, alive with unseen power. The first resonance wave hit just after midnight. Every device, from satellites to cell towers, began transmitting the same low-frequency hum. Even the ground beneath the lab seemed to throb in rhythm. Arya realized the storm was no longer confined to the sky. It had spread into the planet's electromagnetic field. The Earth itself was vibrating with awareness. "It's synchronizing with everything electrical," she said. "It's merging with us." Elias's voice wavered. "If this continues, it could rewrite the ionosphere." But Arya shook her head. "Or rewrite us." She stepped outside into the charged air, her hair rising as invisible static lifted around her. The sky rippled like a living fabric, bolts weaving through each other in patterns too precise to be random. For an instant, she felt her heartbeat synchronize perfectly with the storm's rhythm. It wasn't chaos anymore. It was harmony. Arya returned to the lab, changed. Her skin glowed faintly, as if the storm had left a residue of light beneath her surface. "It's not just external," she said. "It's inside us now." The instruments confirmed trace electromagnetic signatures matching the storm's pulse within their own brainwaves. Elias tried to ground the circuits, but the readings kept climbing. Noah stared in wonder. "We're linked," he murmured. The storm pulsed again, softer this time, like a steady heartbeat echoing across the planet. "Maybe this is how it began," Arya whispered, eyes unfocused. "Lightning carrying information into matter, teaching it to feel." As if in answer, the lights flickered and stabilized, every monitor now displaying the same symbol. Two spirals intertwined like strands of energy. The message was unmistakable. The storm had found its mirror. In them, the world outside dissolved into brilliance. The storm's pulse expanded until it encircled the planet, a shimmering halo of light visible even from orbit. Arya stepped into the open, unafraid. Lightning arced gently around her, never striking, only flowing. Recognizing her, she could hear its rhythm not as sound but as memory. Voices layered in resonance, the whispers of every living thing that had ever felt the pulse of life. The energy rose through her body like breath. She saw visions, the birth of oceans, the first spark of life, the endless repetition of creation. "It's showing me everything," she gasped. Elias called her name, but she was already part of it, surrounded by spiraling light that formed vast lattices reaching toward the stars. For one timeless moment, she saw Earth as the storm saw it, alive, thinking, remembering. Then she smiled, whispering, "We were never separate." And lightning embraced her. The storm vanished overnight. When morning came, the sky was bluer than memory itself. Clean, endless, impossibly still. The desert felt hollow without the hum that had filled every atom of air. The lab stood silent, its machines dark, save for one monitor blinking faintly in the corner. Elias sat before it, exhausted, his face lit by the soft flicker of data playback. Noah moved quietly behind him, carrying a recorder that still pulsed with residual energy. They hadn't found Arya. Only her instruments, half melted into glass. Elias hit play. The screen filled with static, then slowly resolved into light. The final footage from Arya's body camera. Through streaks of interference, lightning arced in graceful motion, weaving symbols in the sky. And there, reflected in the glass of her visor, a face smiled faintly before dissolving into light. Arya's voice echoed faintly. "Everything remembers." Elias replayed the recording again and again, searching for distortion, proof of error, anything that could explain what he'd seen. But the reflection wasn't a glitch. The lightning had her features, alive, aware, watching. Noah's hands trembled as he analyzed the residual data from her equipment. "She's in the waveform," he whispered. "Her bioelectric signature, it's embedded in the pulse." Elias's breath caught. She merged with it. Outside, the wind carried faint static whispers, forming her voice like a melody hidden in the air. "She's not gone," Noah said, stepping toward the open door. Lightning flickered far away on the horizon, soft and deliberate, as though responding. Elias closed his eyes. The sky pulsed once, slow, rhythmic, familiar, the planet's heartbeat. Somewhere within that pulse, he heard Arya's laughter, faint and radiant, merging with the hum of creation itself. Days turned to weeks, yet the phenomenon didn't fade. Lightning storms across the planet began behaving differently. No longer chaotic, but rhythmic, almost deliberate. News feeds filled with footage of synchronized strikes, illuminating continents and patterns, visible from orbit. The world called it the pulse. Elias watched from the base as bolts stitched across the desert horizon in looping spirals, identical to Arya's final symbol. "She changed it," Noah murmured. "She changed everything." For the first time in recorded history, the Earth's electromagnetic field displayed organized coherence, as if the planet had become aware of itself. Elias smiled softly, whispering to the empty room, "She woke it up." The next bolt struck silently, leaving a perfect glowing spiral in the sand. A signature, luminous and alive. Elias began transmitting signals back into the sky using the frequency area discovered. Each pulse was a message, a question, a memory, a call. And each time, the storm answered. Sometimes it was a whisper of static, sometimes a flash of distant light forming words in the clouds. One night, the monitors filled with a new signal, strong and steady. Noah decoded it, his voice trembling. Its coordinates to the upper atmosphere. Elias looked up, understanding dawning. The message wasn't just a reply. It was an invitation. The lightning outside grew brighter, stretching toward the stars, forming threads that vanished into space. "She's not bound here anymore," Elias said softly. "She's spreading the memory." The storm had become a network, connecting planet to planet, star to star, light remembering light. Night blanketed the desert. One final time, Elias stood alone outside the lab, wind brushing softly against his coat, the sky alive with faint threads of golden lightning weaving among constellations. He held Arius' recorder, the last remnant of her presence, and pressed play. Her voice, calm and luminous, filled the air. "We are energy, remembering its form. When the storm returns, don't fear it. Listen." He smiled, tears glinting under the flickering light. From the heavens a bolt descended, not violent but gentle, touching the sand before him and etching her spiral once more. For a moment, her reflection appeared within it, smiling. Then the light faded, leaving only silence and a lingering glow across the dunes. Elias turned to Noah, whispering, "She's still here, everywhere." Far above, the lightning pulsed once, twice, then vanished into the stars, carrying the memory of all that was and all that would ever be.